It's Wednesday in paradise. Today we picked up the bumper for the 528, reinstalled the fog lights, brake ducts, trims, grills, everything that can go back on before it goes on the car. These last grills here that cover up those screws go on after the Torx 50s go up through the bumper carrier to attach the bumper to the front core support. Old one had a hole over here that was covered up with tape, normal scratches, scuffs, scrapes, stone chips, etc. from I think that thing's got like 160, 170,000 miles, something like that. All of this is reused with the exception of this gasket. That's a new gasket that goes all the way around the top. Then we moved over this little bracket here for the alternator cooling. That's different than the 540 for sure, since that's water cooled. This is air cooled, of course. Tomorrow the bumper will go on the car. I'll put the pork chops back in, hook everything up. And we don't really need to do much test driving after a bumper, but we do need to install an evaporative purge valve, which we have here and we'll do tomorrow. The seat over here, bottom, top, and headrests, and the sunroof, and the visors, and the A and B and C pillars are all out of the 2000 low miler, which is this car. The A pillars were destroyed. Whoever removed them last cracked all of the plastic backings, and you know how they usually like stick out there in the middle or bow in? That was really bad, and that's because not only was the plastic tab broken off, but the whole framing was damaged. B pillars were fine. Those are perfectly reusable. C pillars, one of them was off and cracked in half in the back seat when we got the car, so that's got to be replaced. And the other one, as careful as I was to remove it, just crumbled. And everything back here, everything rubber or plastic, looks like it's been, I mean, you can see the rear partial shelf is totally faded out, but all of the plastic pieces that were in there, like the speaker grills, the little headrest covers or brackets there, the 3-child safety securing thing covers, those were all just, you touch them and they turn to dust. Everything broke upon removal, and we're so careful with this stuff. You can get a look at all this heat insulation here, deep cracks in that. You try to flex it at all and it just turns to dust and disintegrates. This car has been out in the sun its entire life, and you can tell, even with 50,000 miles, cars age and wear sitting around, especially in outdoor, hot, sunny, too wet, too dry, dusty, etc. type environments. So we're going to have to be replacing some of those. I checked my C-pillar inventory. All the ones I have left are O2 Plus, which incorporated the HPS, or head protection system, C-pillar rear airbags. Will they work? Yes, they will stick out further. They may or may not rattle more. I don't know. I've never tried that, but I'm going to try my hand at sourcing some used ones in the meantime. Otherwise, this recoil spring here that I think is supposed to recoil the seat belt, you know, it moves up and down in the C-pillar. Yeah, when the seat moves forwards and backwards, that's broken. So I will definitely have some of those, but I've never really replaced one before, so I'll have to see if he wants me to do that. Sunroof came out pretty well. Took out all those little Torx 10s that hold the sun or the headliner in. We're ready at this point, once we get the C-pillar trims in stock, or he decides to use the O2 Plus ones, we're ready to drive the car down to the place where the headliner is going to go. We'll take it off there. Really the only things holding it up right now, we took the grab handles out. The only things left holding it up are kind of this door gasket goes around. And, you know, when you replace the door gasket, you got to peel the seal out and make sure it goes on top of the Alcantara. That's about all that's holding it in. And it's a little sticky from being in here so long. You can hear it like it was just stuck up there. But it's all completely, the glue's just shot. It's, you know, it starts here in the visor pockets and the grab handle pockets. But when it gets bad enough, then it's in the rear seat areas. This has all been glued before. That's why it's creased. But you can see it hanging down there. The other side's not as bad. This bracket just crumbled apart as soon as we touched it, so we'll have to replace that. It sucks to have a car that is such a cool special car that somebody just left outside to deteriorate. That's a new Breyer Wood Club shift knob. You can see the color change on the center console. It's just all faded and bleached out. But really, that's the last big thing with the car, and the interior guy told me to bring it down anytime, so we just got to get those pillars. And here's the 528. I think I filmed this before. 97, super early cars, manufactured in 1996. In fact, before my sister was even born, October 96 there. It's a real base kind of low-spec car, 181, 017 on the odometer, low OBC, no DSP, no xenons, no sunshades, no folding seats, no parking beepers, just a base. Oh, it does have sunshades. Make me a liar. Look at that. It's got the sunshade package, and that is it. And the cool thing is, it's all original and all factory, completely unmodified, and driven by someone who loves it for what it is and loves how reliable it's been for him and just wants to keep it up. And that's exactly what we do here. Black Betty has its struts done, of course. We put new wiper blades on today. When it was out in the rain the other day, the blades were just trashed. So it's got nice new Bosch wiper blades. And I tried the, what do you call them, the squirters today, and they don't work for shit. So we've probably got a bad pump. And with everything else on this car being so dry and crumbly, I'm going to go ahead and guess that the hoses are bad too. And the good news is I do have some of those in stock. They took forever to come in, about 16 months, but they are here. And getting a look at our parts table, look, we've populated that back up again. We've got a big project coming in a few months. Well, February, that's not that far away now, but super clean, low mileage, 2 or 3 M5 that is just going to get totally restored back to perfection. It's got old suspension components. We're doing all the struts, all the control arms, all the brakes, power steering hoses, all the fluids, all the filters. This is probably about a third of the parts that have come in so far. This S6 S420G 540 manual transmission is back off. We just put it on yesterday with the customer supplied clutch kit and flywheel on that 99 black 540. It would start and run really well, and then you turn it off and crank, no start. So we swapped out the crank sensor, and then it started and ran very well consistently. So we tried to go for a test drive. You press the clutch in, it will not go into gear. It's like you're not pressing the clutch in. You force it into gear, and it stalls and lurches forwards. So this is why we don't do aftermarket parts here. I don't like aftermarket clutches and flywheels, and I say that I don't install them. Then a customer sends me the kit. In efforts to take care of him, I say, okay, fine, we'll put them in. So we put them in, and it doesn't work. That's the problem with aftermarket parts. The majority of them do not fit, do not work. It's a pure illusion that they're better than factory parts, truly. No E39 needs an aftermarket clutch until you have modified the power output to be over 600 horsepower. At that point, you may want your high clamp clutch kit from UUC or Dynon, the same ones that Dynon Stage 2 and 3 have. But I would never do that to my car. I do not recommend it, and we're going to have to get more aggressive about just saying, no, I will not install these parts because they will not work. Trust me. Been there, done that. So now he's got to pay double labor to drop the exhaust, drive shaft, transmission, change the clutch and flywheel again, and try this whole job again. And here's these solid motor mounts that many think have some sort of positive performance impact. The car drives like an absolute mine car with them. You're not going to get anything from that. Nate's M5 tomorrow, we'll go through our PDI or pre-delivery inspection. We'll replace the belly pan underneath, check for leaks after the drive the other day, do another code scan, get it cleaned up a little bit, top up the fluids and the tire pressures, check the wheel torque for the 30th time. And I think it will be picked up this weekend. Finally back into his hands. He's got a couple more things to do on his time and budget. It'll be front brake rotors, and the alignment's done, halo bulbs, and the exhaust cutout. Our local exhaust shop didn't seem to want to dig into that, and time's becoming a factor. So the cutouts are still there, though they're shut. The wiring's been cut out. It'll be put back to stock soon.